the Ministry of Education had to accelerate the inclusion of another approach, virtual learning. Embracing the core principles of effective teaching and learning, in particular, adopting multiple teaching modalities to cater to students' diverse learning needs. A blended approach to instructional delivery has since been instituted. Now that schools are opened physically in a phased process, this approach will continue. And today, we commemorate another innovative and exciting initiative with the advent of ebooks for our primary school students. Good evening. My name is Neela Etienne, and I will be your hostess for today's Primary Schools eBooks lunch. Ladies, gents, and children, we have truly entered a new era in education. Our Minister for Education, Human Resource Development, Information and Religious Affairs will now share brief remarks pertinent to the government's agenda and policy for information and communication technologies.
The government of Grenada is extremely and particularly concerned about our students succeeding globally. And so we want to make sure that we provide all possible opportunities for them to have that opportunity to succeed. We have heard so much about the Industrial Revolution, and now we hear so much about the technological revolution, and we cannot afford for our children to be left behind. This is why we are investing so much in technology, transforming education through technology. The government decided that we are going to provide devices for all of our students, from kindergarten all the way up to Form 5 in our secondary schools. So far, we have been able to configure those devices and distribute most of them to our students at the ground level. But what is a device without content? And that is why we have gone so much further to invest in content for those devices, ensuring that our teachers and our students can reap the benefits of the content on the devices that we are distributing. That is why today we are launching our eBooks project for primary schools. Our government's vision is to ensure that our students are well equipped and competitive on a global level as it relates to the transformation that is taking place in education through technology. But what are those pillars that makes it possible to succeed? The device is only one pillar. And with the device, of course, the students do have benefits. The teachers can benefit from the process. But there's so much more to technology and education. The connectivity. The government has invested significant resources in connectivity at our schools. And so all of our schools, including our private schools, have been equipped with high-speed internet to support this agenda. We continue to work with our service provider to upgrade on the services provided. But having internet in school, high-speed internet in school and not at home, is another challenge. And again, the government has embarked on another initiative through the Ministry of Finance to support families that cannot afford to provide internet services for students at home. So you have the device and you have connectivity. You have content, and now you need to be able to use the resources to your advantage. And that is where training is so important. Again, we have invested so much thus far in training our teachers and helping them to be able to use the tools that are affordable and available to them to help our students. We continue to invest in training. But we've gone one step further. We have engaged young people in all of our schools as e-champions to support our teachers and students and to ensure that seamlessly and as seamlessly as possible, we roll out this technological agenda. But what about our parents? The Ministry of Education is extremely pleased to have provided an opportunity to engage parents online to help them to be able to help their children. All in all, our goal is to ensure that no child is left behind. Technology is such an important initiative in helping us to move forward, in helping our students to succeed, and helping our teachers to be the best at what they do. Let us embrace the technology, and I'm so excited that now we are at this phase, at this stage, where we are launching the ebooks for primary schools. What does this do? What will this do for our students? What will this do for our teachers? What will this do for parents? Of course, this makes reading, this makes studying, this makes researching a lot more exciting for our students. Of course, the access to additional information, videos, resources online is provided through those books. But very importantly, we have engaged subject teachers to vet those books, to contribute to the development of those books, and we are happy that it will help our teachers. The assessment that students will be doing through those books online, we know that it will go a long way. But very importantly, we have always expressed concern about the number of books that our children have to carry. We have also expressed our concerns, and we have heard the concerns of parents of the cost of books. As we move into our ebooks program, this will significantly reduce financial burdens for families, especially our vulnerable families. So I believe that within the school year, we are going to make a very smooth transition from textbooks, print books, to ebooks. Of course, we would never be able to replace totally print books. And so there are some areas where we will continue to use our printed books. But we are extremely happy to make this transition to the benefit of our stakeholders.
Thank you, Madam Minister. The process of developing ebooks in Grenada involved various stakeholders, including curriculum officers and teachers. Curriculum Officer for Science and Mathematics at the Ministry, Miss Lorraine Diali, shares on her experience with the ebooks.
Well, I had the opportunity to look at all the ebooks for the different grades at the primary level, and I must say that teachers, parents, and students would have a wonderful experience working with it. It follows the science curriculum guides for the primary level. It follows the standards. It also follows the scope and sequence of science to the T. It really would help students know what to do, when to do it, and it gives them lovely interactive activities.
Give me an example.
Okay, a lot of the activities, yes, some of them are on the ebook themselves, but also many of the activities takes them away from the devices, so they can go out and make a windmill. They can make different hands-on practical things using information from the ebooks. The ebooks were reviewed by teachers, myself and teachers, right here from Grenada. So as a result of that, we were able to give guidance as to what to put in to make it more relevant to the Grenadian students. What I also like is not only text that students would see, but they would also see a lot of visual simulations. All right, so I think that's also very important. So it caters for those who are faster learners and also those who are slower learners, because there are texts for those who can read well, and those who may not can still get an opportunity to answer questions and do the activities in both the textbook and the workbook.
That was Curriculum Officer for Science and Mathematics at the Ministry of Education, Miss Lorraine Diali. And as Miss Diali said, the ebooks allow for a level of engagement and interaction that the textbooks do not. And now, Chief Education Officer, Mrs. Angela Finley, presents a comprehensive, comparative view of the change in the education landscape, comparing the post-Ivan crisis to the COVID-19 pandemic, and how technology through ebooks is helping to make our children as competitive with their counterparts in the 21st century world we live in.
Continuity of learning, the comparison between the period post-Hurricane Ivan and the current period as we experience the challenges associated with COVID-19. What can be said is that COVID-19 has come upon us at a time when we at the Ministry of Education has been very purposed to embrace technology, with the focus being on technology integration. This process has been very vigorously pursued since 2014 as we engage teachers in professional development sessions centered around the blended approach, blended instruction. How are the children faring when we look back at the era of post-Hurricane Ivan? That period saw schools being closed. Many students were grappling with the situation where their books were destroyed during the hurricane. Some of them were displaced from their permanent place of residence, temporarily displaced. So it was a case where they were disconnected from their teachers and disconnected from their textbooks as well. Fast forward to this era of the COVID pandemic. Many students, even when they were not in possession of a device that was procured by the Ministry of Education, many were able to use their phones, cell phones, or their parents' cell phones to be connected to the internet, which brings with it many positives as it relates to education. Many resources are out there, videos, learning portals, where children can access information and learn at their own pace. This again is guidance that is provided remotely, also through the initiatives of the Ministry of Education and the support from corporate partners. Almost every child is now in possession of a device, be it a tablet or a learn book. This is a very commendable advancement as it relates to continuity of learning. So now children are able to connect with their teachers. Many children, the majority, we are thankful, have been able to connect with their teachers and also continue to pursue learning on their own volition as well, using what is available on the information highway through the internet. So that's a plus for us and for children, that they are better positioned to continue learning at this time with COVID there, although they are remotely connected. So that's a plus there. As it relates to 21st century technology, again, a device is a necessary tool when we think of all the opportunities that are available via the internet, doing business. We now hear of persons having working at home vocation, and we have to ensure that our children are positioned for vocation, meaning they can stay in their country or go to another country and embrace a job in another country as well. So this is what technology is making possible, and having children competent in the use of a device is a necessity for the 21st century. So again, COVID-19 has caused us to fast track a lot of the plans that were in the pipeline to empower our students through e-learning and making full access of the devices through technology courses, ICT courses, and also another course which we brought into schools just within the last 5 years, EDPM, so electronic data processing and management. So through those two things with those devices, we are hoping that our children would embrace these opportunities to empower themselves to be part of that cutting-edge technology with their counterparts across the world. Yes, so that's a plus again. And we are seeing students getting involved in ways that teachers didn't expect. You say, oh, children, even very young, they're young, but for some reason they are of the technological era, and they are showing us in very commendable ways how they can embrace it. Even some teachers too, when you look at what some teachers are doing now, when we were saying blended learning in 2014, some of them were hesitant, but again, COVID has made it a necessity. And we are happy that many teachers have embraced that necessity, and they are doing wonders, encouraging children, spurring them on as they empower themselves as well to make greater use of what is available as technology integration. Now we think of ebooks. There are many persons who are thinking of ebooks with apprehension. They are concerned about the screen time. But what the ebooks will do, and is already doing for students, resources that are already available to them, is that it gives them opportunity to learn at their pace. When it's the teacher at the front of a class teaching, they have to interrupt the teacher. Now they can interrupt the program on the computer and say, let me rerun. And there is nothing of a tired teacher, or a frustrated peer who would be objecting to having to hear the teacher reiterate something that they already understand. The fast student can advance at their own pace. They can have the e-tutors, because a lot of the e-book comes with that e-teacher. That's the format of the book. So they can pause to review, and they can fast track as well. So the e-books brings an element that wasn't there before for the children in terms of seeing things also that are automated, in other words, so they can have the simulations that are not possible when it's a hard copy book. They can see something 3D. They can see a simulation in a lab. Instead of having a teacher demonstrate on that system, they can now have those links to labs where they can see those things unfolding that they just read about. They can now have the videos that brings it to life for them. So that's a plus for ebooks, rather than just the one-dimensional experience in a book. They can now have 3D, 2D, 3D things coming up for them, and they can get live experiences in their very own homes or in their classrooms. So the ebook, definitely a plus for the children that are visual learners. They can now see those things. They can create those scenarios themselves from the ebook. And persons were complaining, doctors were complaining, the big backpack with 20 books. Sometimes the children need to go with 2 backpacks in order to carry all the books for a day. Now it's just one device. And through that device, with the ebooks, they can now access all of that content that had to be carried in 20 books. They can now have it in a single device, maybe 1/20th of the weight, of all those books combined. So that again is a plus, which I know doctors would be very happy about, and we too are happy about less books. But of course, we do have to ask and encourage the children to care for that device, because when it does crash, now it's all your books going down there. But for the benefits with the less weight, more interesting presentations of lessons, more interesting presentation of content, ebook definitely is a plus.
Thank you, Mrs. Finley, Chief Education Officer. 15-year veteran teacher at the Blessed Sacrament Catholic School, Nicoda Joseph, has had the opportunity to use the ebooks and now shares with us about her experience.
So first of all, the books are nicely aligned with the OECS curriculum standards, and I really like that. Secondly, they are very child-friendly. And by that I mean the way in which the books, the content and the way in which the content is formatted and structured, it is very child-friendly in that the children would find it easy to navigate and manipulate the pages and activities and so in the book. right? So there are lots of pictures, bright pictures. There are videos, interactive quizzes. I love that at the end of every section there is a part where the students would have to reflect on their learning, so that's a plus. Also, there, as I said, there are interactive quizzes, so at the end of each chapter or section the children get to test their knowledge on what they would have been exposed to in a chapter.
For a teacher, what does that mean?
I would strongly urge or recommend that all teachers go fully on board with these ebooks because they are really going to enhance the teaching and learning experience. It simplifies the teaching and learning experience in the classroom. It's going to make teaching more effective, more engaging, and more meaningful.
The Permanent Secretary with responsibility for education, Mr. Kevin Andel, notes that the ebooks were developed with the input of local stakeholders. He highlights the economic advantage of the ebooks, noting that they will reduce the burden on parents who in the past spent hefty sums on the purchase of textbooks.
March 2020 forced us to accelerate our process due to the pandemic of COVID-19. So the Ministry of Education went on a drive to accelerate e-learning. And we did that through the provision of e-learning systems for our children in the form of learning management system, MSTAR, e-learning devices to 22,000 of our students, and also e-learning devices for our teachers, 1,800 of them. We also went further to provide not only the devices, but the applications to facilitate e-learning in the form of ebooks for secondary school, and in the form of communication and productivity applications on the devices. Today, we are launching the ebooks for primary school, which has been some time in the making. We have gone through various consultation processes with our stakeholders, for instance, the Grenada Union of Teachers. We have also went through the development of the primary school books with our educational experts, curriculum experts, and teachers. This process was a very fruitful and rewarding one, whereby scope and sequences for 6 core areas within the primary school was developed. These scope and sequences were used to develop the ebooks by the producers of the books. After the production of the books, we undergo a very rigorous review process with our teachers to examine the books, to look at the content, the assessment aspect, and to give feedback, which was used to modify the books at hand. Today, we present these books to you. We are hoping that you, parents, students, and other stakeholders would appreciate the hard work and the consultation and the reviews and feedback that was received in developing a Grenadian book, a Grenadian produced book, a book that reflects the Grenadian spirit, and it reflects the expectation, the educational expectation for the Grenadian child. You may say, why ebooks? Why not continue with the textbooks? The hard textbook that our children carry in their bags, each and every one of you would know what are the pitfalls associated with these heavy bags. But also all of us can give our experiences with the hard textbooks. But why ebooks? Why the change? There are many experts who say that we should not move away from textbooks, hard textbooks. There should not be a gravitation to ebooks. Our ministry's position is that there should be a blended approach to education. That is not one size fits all, but the Ebooks would be a means by which our students can be engaged interactively using the modern technologies available so that we can facilitate blended learning. In the event of a pandemic or a disaster, our students can continue their learning. And when we look at the economics of it, on average, you parents and government, an average child would spend over $350 every year on hard textbooks. But on the ebooks, the cost would be significantly less. As a parent, you will be paying $50 for the e-learning platforms, devices, and apps that are available to your child. And government costs towards providing these things will be significantly less to what government had to find and secure for hard textbooks and as the associated facilities with it. Remember one thing and keep in mind that textbooks for our children expires every 5 years and needs to be reviewed. However, with ebooks, revision can happen every year by local experts reflecting the conditions on the ground and providing a meaningful way of developing our children, facilitating their education so that they can be competitive in this modern society. I hope you enjoyed the event today, and I'm hoping that you would spread the word to everyone in the mainland Grenada, a sister isle of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, that the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with you parents, will be embarking on this new journey of supporting the learning and the education of our children through a blended approach. Ebooks as well as hard copy books together to enrich our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kevin Andal, Permanent Secretary with responsibility for education. Principal of the Woburn Methodist School, Mr. Richard Japal, shares his review after using the ebooks.
First of all, I would really like to compliment our Ministry of Education for this wonderful initiative. I think it's a job well done. In my personal interaction with the ebooks, I must first of all say that I find it to be very easy to manipulate. And I think the same thing will go for our students. All right, so the books are easily accessible, okay, and to be able to get to them, I think it's just one fingertip away. So that makes it very, very easy to manipulate. Well, in terms of the subject matter, I must indeed say it was heartwarming. You know, for every chapter, first of all, we have the performance standards that students are needed to know, which I think is a plus, because recently in terms of our teachers, we have been doing the standards and assessments, so this was in line with what we have been doing. So I think this is a very good initiative, and coming out of that now, I find especially in terms of language, we have things like the focus questions, we have warm-up activities, and then we get into the general contents, and following that we have other activities there that students can participate in. You know, for example, to some of the little self-taking quiz, the videos, the other interactive activities and so on. I find it to be very, very child-friendly, and I think our students would really much enjoy interacting with this. As an adult, when I got in there, I wasn't able to put it down for a while. You know, I got hooked on it, I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Japal. And we speak now with a mother and daughter duo, Julia and Hope Williams, about using the ebooks.
Basically, I would say that the app is very interactive. It was really easy to go through the content, and I I learned a lot, in terms of what has happened in Grenada's history, as well as, day-to-day activities, and so in terms of, let's say, like cultural things I learned about the Saraka. I also learned a little bit more about the carnival, and different things as to why those things happen. So it was really informative, and I think that it will be really good for just the students in the grade 6 to interact with it, and they're going to learn a whole lot. Why? Because there's so much information shared there, so much of it that I wasn't even aware of. I don't know what Hope has to say about it, but she can also share.
I thought that it was very easy, and I like that they explain all the things that we didn't understand, and the words that they thought were hard for us. They added the definitions. The subject I did was social studies, and I thought it was very easy. And
what did you learn new?
I learned that our younger siblings takes us as role models, and if we behave bad, they will behave bad too.
What would you say to your friends about using the app?
I would tell them that they should try it, and that there's a lot you can learn in it.
And it's fun.
And it's very, very fun and interesting.
Really good. All right.
I was like really wowed. Yeah, and I think the colors, it kind of it got me going, because we had different colors, and the topic, the subtopics, everything. I just think it was really well put together, and I believe that students will want to go more, and they will learn, because it's going to cause them to want to keep going. Yeah.
Did you pass the test?
I did one, and I passed it. I'm not sure if Hope did the test, because
I did it.
Okay. I know she went through, but I'm not sure she did.
I did all, and I passed a lot of.
Thank you, Julia and Hope Williams. Ladies, gentlemen, and children, this brings us to the end of the official launch of the primary school's ebooks. Now take a look at the contents of the ebooks.
Offers a truly integrated digital learning solution, seamlessly connecting in-class and after-class learning experiences. Our digital textbooks allow for interactive, engaging learning by bringing concepts to life. Let us walk through some of the features embedded in our digital textbooks. Performance standards. Every lesson begins with clearly defined performance standards mentioning about the skills and knowledge a learner is expected to acquire by the end of the lesson. Introduction. Concepts are introduced using a story or situation-based approach, using real-life situations to establish a better topic connect. Quick check. The introduction is followed by an interactive activity to check the learner's previous knowledge of the concept. This is done through questions based on a situation or story discussed in the introduction. Let's learn. Each subsection begins with a Let's Learn feature that introduces the key concept through interactive templates and visuals. A similar Let's Explore feature extends the learnings of the concepts explained in the Let's Learn section. Let's watch.
We know 256 has 2 hundreds, which equal 200, 5 tens, which equal 50,
It is a concept-based animated video to aid the learner in understanding the concepts better by visualizing the same. Let's try. This interactive feature offers a variety of problem-solving and logical reasoning questions to enhance the understanding and analytical skills of a learner. Remember, this feature helps the learner to remember important points or formulae related to the concepts covered. Quick tip. This feature equips the learner with a short and effective approach of concept application. Critical thinking. Specially designed feature to enhance the learner's ability to think in an organized and rational manner to establish a connection between the concepts, ideas, and facts. HOTS. This feature involves problem-solving interactivity that enables the learner to move from lower to higher levels of cognitive functioning in the context of the concepts taught. End of section quiz. The end of section quiz and end of chapter test consists of section level and chapter level MCQs based on the corresponding outcome. The detailed analysis helps the learners to assess their learning. It also helps the teachers to collect feedback about a learner's level of understanding and plan their pedagogy. Try it yourself. A descriptive type questions-based interactivity feature that enables the learner to practice the concepts learned under different sections. Math lab activity. This feature helps the learners apply their knowledge through hands-on activities for experiential learning. Let's reflect. A self-assessment feature linked to the learning outcomes for the concepts, a crucial feedback tool for teachers to assess students' understanding of the concepts learned.
We hope that our students will be as excited as we are and be fully engaged. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the Ministry of Education's help desk at 440-2737. I am Neela Etienne. Have a good evening.
Hi, I'm Dr. Karina David. I am a Grenadian family practice physician, currently practicing in Indianapolis, Indiana. Right now I'm here in Grenada providing my assistance with the COVID-19 pandemic. Vaccines are safe and vaccines are effective. I plead with you to please get it as soon as possible. Vaccines lower your chance of complications, they lower your chance of going to the hospital, they lower your chance of